Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nisi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, always glad to have you with us. And today, later on in the show, actually, we're going to talk to the co-founder of Aire Systems, which has a new way of dealing with infectious disease and mold and all the things that can happen to a building or a boat or any place like that, and sort of hear about the science behind what they're working on. But first, and right now, I'm very pleased to be joined by two gentlemen from the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association to check in with that industry. And they are Dave Chenevert, he's the executive director, and Chris Lanen, he is the chairman. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So I'll start. Chris, I'm going to start off with you. It's probably self-explanatory to people, but very briefly, what's the actual job of the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association?
Sure. Well, RIMA is a 501c6 organization. We're an advocacy organization. We're funded by our members' dues. A lot of what we do is advocacy. So manufacturers, most of them in Rhode Island are small companies. They have their heads down doing the hard work that they do. We help them sometimes go and ask them what they need to survive, what they need to grow their companies, and we act as sort of a conduit from them to our state elected officials, make sure that the things that they care about are being expressed up at the State House. We also do a number of workshops for our members on any number of issues, from energy to healthcare to some of the things that are sort of popping up with new legislation. And then we also sort of act as a conduit between some of the resources that are available. So say the things that come from Commerce RI or the Department of Labor and Training. There's a number of very valuable programs that some companies, they have their heads down. They may not know that they're available to them. And we kind of work with Commerce and DLT to make sure that they're aware of all those things.
And you're also affiliated, there's a sister organization, We Make RI. What do they do over there?
We Make RI is a 501c3 organization that is our sister organization. They focus primarily and almost exclusively on workforce development. So they do apprenticeship programs. They do a lot of the stuff with Real Jobs Rhode Island. They are even more closely aligned with the Department of Labor and Training. And so they are doing a lot of that real sort of work on the ground, building up our workforce to make sure when companies do grow that they have the workforce to fill those jobs that are created.
And Dave, you're new to the executive director job, but you're hardly new to manufacturing in Rhode Island, right? I think you recently sold your company.
Recently sold it, owned a facility for 31 years.
It was Swiss Line Precision, right?
Correct. And I stayed on for one more year as a consultant. My son took over as the president of the new corporation. And I was unemployed probably for about 3 weeks, and RIMA had what we call a strategic planning session, and we narrowed down a replacement for our previous executive director down to 5, and discussion kept going, and they finally said, well, Dave, you're doing nothing, why don't you take it over? So we had a meeting of the minds, and manufacturing is in my blood. It has been all my life, and I enjoy it, and I have a lot of experience that I bring to these companies. They talk to me and they know I bring a lot of credibility because I've been in the weeds with them. I know what it is to try to make a payroll. I know what it is to deal with the bureaucracy, the regulations, expansion. So I've been able to give them a lot of advice relative to that, and that's the value that we try to bring to our members. And
we're going to talk obviously much more about what RIMA does, but tell us what did they do at Swiss Line? What was your business all these years?
Swiss Line was a aerospace medical company. We actually made various component parts throughout the country and world. We employed about 65 people. Took the company from 3 up to 65, and now it's facilitated in Cumberland. It's a 36,000 square foot facility, and it's still going strong, and all my old employees are still there. And other than my son took it over, but basically it's still operating very, very successfully. They actually brought in 3 new machines just recently, so they're still growing and expanding.
And you say it with some pride, it sounds like, obviously. Yeah, all those years.
You see your baby grow, and it was difficult to give it up.
I'm sure.
But there was a certain time, and what's that? They make you an offer you can't refuse?
That's what they say. Tim White covers that kind of offer.
Exactly. I will just only add that Dave has an enthusiasm for manufacturing that's second to none. And since he's been on board as our executive director, we've had a number of meetings with all the stakeholders in the state at the State House. And everybody to a person always says that, wow, your enthusiasm is infectious. And so I think there's a lot of positive feelings about manufacturing going on right now, and Dave kind of embodies that, so it's a good kind of timing for both of those things to come together.
And Chris, I'll stick with you actually, because so we talk about manufacturing a lot in the show. We have manufacturers on. We've talked to the folks at Polaris, who I know you work with, who help manufacturers figure out how to retool and such. But some people do sometimes think that Rhode Island manufacturing has kind of died, right, over the years. They've seen factories close and such like that. But generally that seems to be greatly exaggerated. How would you describe the health today of the Rhode Island manufacturing sector?
It's getting healthier. As I said, there's optimism around it. I think it took some time for people thought that manufacturing was dead. And I think that thought was related to the old manufacturing, the dirty, the dark, the dangerous manufacturing, the low-skilled manufacturing. And what we're doing today, in large part in Rhode Island, is advanced high-skill manufacturing. And that's really, we're seeing some of the things that have happened at the State House come to fruition now and really start to support growth. So whether it be lowering the corporate tax, whether it be getting rid of some of the taxes on energy cost, the economic development programs that have been put in place at Commerce, companies are starting to figure out how to use that stuff, and those things are starting to come to fruition, and we're seeing some growth happen. So, we're not as healthy as we want to be, but there are some green shoots that are popping up, and just going to our RIMA meetings and talking to our members of our board and RIMA just in general, there's a lot of good things happening, and we're seeing a lot of investment being made. People are kind of coming out of the trenches of the Great Recession and saying, okay, how can we start investing in our companies again?
And Dave, I saw you ruefully shake your head when you heard the idea that manufacturing's dead in Rhode Island there. You're looking at a list of successes.
It's the farthest thing from the truth. It's just evolved into something different that my father or my grandfather never would envision. I mean, my last purchase of a piece of equipment was a $500,000 CNC Swiss that was a turning center, but also had a built-in laser. It was a laser technology. Between Swiss Line and another company called Rhode Island Carbide, over the last 2 years, they've invested over $6.5 million in equipment alone. We have a company, Ferguson Perforated, who just put a 15,000 square foot addition up and employs over 100 people. We have another company called Bullet Abrasives, who's just bought a company in for $1 million and revamped their facility. It's happening everywhere. The difference in Rhode Island, we only like to talk sometimes about the bad things, and we don't seem to want to focus on some of the good things that are really happening.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk some more about some of those good things you guys see happening, as well as potential ways to have more good things happening that you have on mind. So stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. Later on this week's show, we're going to talk to the co-founder of Fresh Aire Systems about some of the chemistry behind a new way they're promoting to take out mold and dirt and grime and things that get you sick in Rhode Island. But right now, we're talking to two leaders from the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association. Chris Lanen is the chairman of the group, and Dave Chenevert is the executive director. He was the longtime head of Swiss Line Precision, which he recently sold, though his son's still there, and the rest. He's the only worker who lost his job in the transaction. It sounds like so. And was happy about it. Now he's happy with this. Chris, one thing I think about, we were talking before the break about the survival and even some of the thriving that's happening around manufacturing. Sometimes I think it's because employment in manufacturing has gone down quite a lot. Sometimes because you just don't need as many workers to do the same output or even more output, right?
That's true. I mean, things are being automated. But I would say at the same time, though, as I think we've gone past that sort of trough where we've hit the bottom, and now we're coming back up and needing more workers. And I think to a company that I've ever spoken to through our membership, workforce development is the #1 issue for them. It's difficult. These jobs require skill. They require significant training. They require a lot of work on behalf of the person that's getting the job to go through that training program. And some investment both from the company, from the employee, often from the state. And so getting people through that, there's often an attrition rate. I don't know exactly what the number is with me. We make RI, but I know that for every 10 or so employees, or folks that come through that are potential employees, a number of them fall out for one reason or another. Maybe it's not the right time in their life, or maybe they've had some issues that they still need to clear up. And so getting them into positions once they're through typically isn't very difficult because there's a lot of demand out there. So really that's the number one issue for manufacturers at large is just getting workforce that's able to do some of this pretty technical stuff that takes quite a bit of training to do.
And why is that such a challenge, do you think, Dave, to get the right workers in there to do? You think people want jobs?
I think manufacturers stopped getting involved. Years ago, Brown & Sharp was our training ground. They went away, and manufacturers just said, well, something else will pick it up. Well, nothing ever did. So we're in the process.
So Brown & Sharp was that big of what
huge.
Pushed people out
Absolutely.
into that. People might remember the big manufacturing
I just went to school there to learn how to do CAM design when I was a lot younger. But they were a great training ground for everybody. And now, as Chris noted, the skill level for equipment has advanced so much. And one of the fallacies that I think needs to be clear to everybody is manufacturers are not looking for someone who can walk into that shop, hit the buttons and program and do all that. We're not looking for that. What we're looking for is people who can come in, has a decent math capability, good verbal skills. They don't want a job, they want a career. Big difference. And it's people who will listen to be taught on how to do their particular job. We want them to come in to a certain level, maybe some basic geometric tolerance they understand, basic measuring techniques, basic capability to do some simple programming. Get us to that level, then we'll take it from there. And every manufacturer in this state will provide training. No one is turning anyone away. So it's not that the manufacturers want the complete package. That's far from the case. Now, Make Rhode Island, who our sister organization, is the apprenticeship owner for CNC machining, CNC programming, quality control, tool die, grinding, and we have programs right now in high school for pre-apprenticeship. They start in their senior year, like March, April. They get out of school, we get them a job, and then they flow right into the apprenticeship program signed to a company, and it's taking off.
And that's working?
It's working. And the thing I said to the governor and to others and Stephen Pryor is we had a vacuum for labor. We're filling it. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to get there. And that's why some of these programs that we're talking about that is in the governor's budget and the legislature reviewing, it's so critical to continue those.
So is it partly, Chris, do you think, and we're going to talk about this program in a second, that you're going to have you have to fill the pipeline to get more manufacturers to expand because they think there'll be enough workers? It's the chicken and egg question, I guess. Of do you need the workers and then you get the expansion? Do you get the expansion that causes the workers?
I think it depends on the industry. Like for instance, in the defense industry, it's very competitive and it's all based on winning things, and then all of that stuff follows afterwards. For some other industries, it's a different kind of flow for their product line, so it works a little differently. But yeah, part of it is just being able to plan long term. And so, like I was saying earlier, we have these different tax credits that are out there. Some of them we'd like to see actually applied more broadly to some of the smaller organizations. So 75% of the manufacturers in Rhode Island are under 25 employees and are either S Corps or LLCs. And so the current tax credits that are out there and incentives for them to grow and to enable their growth don't apply. They only apply to C Corps currently. So one thing that we've worked with Commerce is to put some legislation into the governor's budget that would hopefully expand that and help more companies use that. So,
and as we're running a little short in time, what are some of the other? You guys have been pressing a couple of ideas that you'd like them to look at the State House. What are the other ones high on your agenda?
So number one is Davies. There's $3.65 million for Davies Career and Technical High School. It takes a lot of expensive equipment for a place like that. We'd really like to see Davies to be expanded into the crown jewel of manufacturing.
We've said to the administration and to Commerce, you can't look at this just as an educational foundation that we're for training. I look at it as a selling tool for the state. So you want to bring a business in and you want to say, look, we can get you this land, you can put something up here. First question I'm going to ask, well, about the workforce. Now you can take them over to Davies and see a state-of-the-art facility and say, whatever you need, we'll get it out of that school. And that's critical as far as I'm concerned if you're going to invest in the state of Rhode Island. So my pitch to most of the people has been just that. And manufacturers are not going to wait for labor. Manufacturers in my industry go out, there's an opportunity to grow your business, they're going to buy that piece of equipment. Now they worry about the guy getting in for labor and they'll hurry up and try to train him, kick it out of the street. Could be a mechanic, an auto mechanic. He's got mechanical capability. Let's get him on a machine. We'll try to train him. But what we're doing with Make Rhode Island is the key of making that whole industry more successful.
All right, 30 seconds. What are the other things?
The federal budget this year cut funding for MEP, so there's a big increase in funding for the Manufacturing Extension Program partnership, which funds Polaris. There's also funding. There's also a bill that would recouple the state tax code with the federal tax code, which creates an incentive for production-related activities and income, which is a big boon and kind of offsets Rhode Island as compared to some of the other states. So.
All right, we'll have to get an accountant on to explain that one to us. All right, Chris Lanen, Dave Chenevert, thank you both for coming in for the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association. Don't go away though. When we come back, we're going to talk about a new company and what they're trying to do to keep people healthy. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, happy to be joined now by Paul Capuzziello. He is the co-founder of a fairly new company. It's called Fresh Aire Systems, and it's interesting, and we're going to talk about that. Paul, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So before we talk about what you do at the company specifically, let's talk about the problem you're trying to address. We see headlines every year, people getting the flu, neurovirus always popping up at schools and things like that. That's at the heart of it, right?
Correct. Absolutely. So I think last year 70 million work days were lost due to illness. 60 million school days were lost due to illness. There's been some pretty recent stories here in Rhode Island. Even the Boston Red Sox this year have had problems with it. So
in the locker rooms, I think.
The
right?
locker
the clubhouse,
rooms.
yeah.
Yep. It's colleges, sports teams, anywhere where you have a lot of people that are touching the same thing, disease spreads. And they've obviously all become resistant to a lot of the antibiotics. So what our goal is to try to prevent them before they actually happen. So before you have to shut down a school or a business, make sure it doesn't happen in the first place. So you just had the Manufacturers Association. If we can keep people working, businesses are much more productive, they're more profitable, everybody wins.
Now, is that problem getting worse? Does it seem to be, or is it, because obviously there's been illness for all time, eternity and everything, but.
It seems to be getting worse because the diseases are becoming more resistant to the antibiotics. We haven't really come up with new antibiotics in years and years. So, and people are more closely knit, or they're in the same spaces, more regularly. So when you have people doing that, that's easy. 50 kids in a classroom, they're all touching the same thing. You do show and tell. They touch it, everyone gets it, they all go home. All these new bouncy houses and, the things at McDonald's that they go to are all disease breeders.
Yeah, all my friends with young children are constantly sick,
they're always
right?
sick, exactly. Daycare is a big, is getting bigger and bigger. And you talk to anyone who has a small child, the young child gets sick, then they come home, the next youngest child gets sick, then the parents get sick, and then it just recycles itself.
Onward and onward.
Correct.
So your product, you guys can come in before there's a problem and try to prevent it, or after and try to help solve it. So walk people through what your product is, and you actually have a prop here that's part of what you do.
So if we were coming into a school system, so this is a swab, it's a little CSI-ish, but so you take the little swab, you swab whatever you're trying to find out what the disease level is. So anything under 100 on this, so we take this, we put it in, we shake it. This is an HEP meter. It gets inserted in, gives us a reading. So once we get a reading, anything under 100 is safe. It's hospital-grade sanitization. Anything over 100 is a problem. You've got too many diseases or too many live bacterial molecules on a surface.
So that's testing for everything bad?
Everything. Okay. Anything and everything. Correct.
So then you get that back, and then what do you do?
So once we get that, if there's a problem, then what we do is, depending on the severity, depending on what type of facility we're in, we have 3 different things that we do. We'll come in and we have a gas system that we mix it two parts in water, and we aerate it. And what it does is it creates a molecule so small that can actually get into a dust molecule and destroy a dust molecule. So it penetrates everything: fabric, mattresses, foam, curtains, cars, leather, everything. So it actually gets into every crack and crevice, and anything that's there, it will eliminate the odor. It'll eliminate the odor, eliminate the bacteria, eliminate mold, mildew. Then we also have another one. In some cases, we use an electrostatic sprayer where we go in. And so if we did this, we would go into a hotel, let's say, and we take the electrostatic sprayer and we spray everything. And because it's electrostatically charged, so instead of me taking this and putting something on it and or wiping it, that just does this surface, what an electrostatic does, it would surround 360 degrees around everything. So what that does is that kills whatever the bacteria or a virus is. We go back, we retest, make sure it's under 100. If it is, then we have another product that we spray with the same electrostatic sprayer that's now a surface protector. So anytime someone touches it, someone wipes it down, someone sweats on it, bleeds on it, that activates, kills whatever the bacteria, heals itself, and is good for 90 days.
So people wonder, what are you actually spraying, and is it safe?
It's absolutely safe. It's EPA approved, safe, no residual, no side effects.
It's chlorine dioxide.
Chlorine
right?
dioxide, it's either chlorine dioxide gas or a solution. There's a few different products that we do use. We've actually searched out different ones. Some people just use one. We've searched out about 4 or 5 different ones depending on the application. So depending on what surface we're trying to treat or what we're treating, we kind of come up with a game plan for that particular place or facility and come up with a game plan and do it there.
You mentioned hotels, you mentioned daycares. Are you looking at who's the customer in that?
It's amazing. Since we've started this, the customer base is unlimited. So we now have actually we just got a huge car dealership. If I told you, they own 57 car dealerships. We're working with most of the major car owner dealerships in Rhode Island. We're working with yachts, yacht brokers, yacht ownerships, realtors, property managers.
Get out, I think I've read odor, right? So
Correct.
Some of it, maybe it's not a norovirus, maybe it just doesn't smell that great in a boat or something.
Yeah, so a great example, we did a car for one of the car dealerships. Someone had a 2015 Toyota Tacoma that someone had smoked severely in.
Yeah.
You open the door, no one would buy it. They had it on every lot that they owned. They had it up for sale for $26,995 because they couldn't sell it. We went in, next day we went back, the thing smelled brand new. They had it for sale for $32,995. So that's a real profit increase for a car dealer who can go now buy a car and not worry about it.
How competitive is this space? I mean, there's people out there cleaning things, and people have known about bad smells or viruses for a long time.
There's no one around here doing what we do. The people who are using things like tea tree oil that we know doesn't work, ozone, which I actually given you some information on, which is actually a carcinogen and actually creates more problems than what it solves. Plus, it takes a lot of time. It's expensive. You have these huge machines. I read on some of the things we sent you about the schools, they're going into cleaning with bleach. Well, bleach you can only do a system. You couldn't do if you had curtains or something cloth. The bleach will bleach it out, and it doesn't kill most of the things. So people have this sense of security with bleach, and it really doesn't do what they think it's doing. It doesn't kill mold and mildew, which we can kill. So there's really no real competition that we found in the area. I mean, we're doing stuff now from here in Mass and Rhode Island all the way down to Florida.
So only about 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
How'd you get the idea? Where did this come from?
My partner, Chris, has actually been in the carpet cleaning business and restoration business for 10 years. He said, I found this product. I think it's great. No one's doing this. I think this is the thing of the future. Are you interested in doing a business with me? And I'm a serial entrepreneur, even though by career I'm a private wealth manager. I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. Because my wife has allergies. I tested it on me first. Since I've used it, my wife hasn't had one allergy headache.
Smart to test on yourself before your wife.
Exactly.
That's
Correct.
a smart man in front of me here. All right, Paul Capuzziello from Fresh Aire Systems. You can find out more about it on their website. That's amazing about getting the smoke out of the car. Yeah, we've all been in a car that smells...
or an airplane or a cruise ship.
Airplane, a boat with the mildew and everything. Very interesting. All right, so you can find out about that on there. If you missed any of this show or any other episode of Executive Suite, you can catch all of those on our website, WPRI.com, and you can also subscribe to the show as a podcast on iTunes. We'll see you back here next week on Executive Suite.